Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel, and today we're going to look at Sunny Side of the Street. Sunny Side of the Street was written in 1930, either by Fats Waller or by Jimmy McHugh and Dorothy Fields. The likelihood, I think, is that Fats Waller wrote it and then the rights were bought by the other two. It became a jazz standard, and it's a useful tune because it works really well as a slow ballad, as I've just played it. But it can also be played as a medium tempo or even a fast number if you like. Django recorded this in 1946 using not Grappelli but the sax of Hubert Rostang, and Grappelli has recorded this I think several times, and he does a very nice version where he plays really slow once round and then doubles up halfway through. So we're going to look at mostly the slow Grappelli version, but I'm going to give you a transcription of part of that, but also a quite contrasting approach. So let's start off with looking at the first 8 bars of this Grappelli version, and it does show up the difficulty of working in detail with transcriptions of musicians like Grappelli. So I'll play through it once and then we'll kind of analyse it a little bit, and I will try and draw out some specific lessons from what we've just learnt. And that's far enough. I did actually many years ago buy the book which has all of the Grappelli transcriptions and immediately regretted it, because you have to be a really good sight reader to make any sense of it whatsoever. If we look at the first bar after the repeat sign, that is a very typical little Grappelli thing. So instead of playing a single note, the note is preceded by 2 tiny notes. And it works best right at the tip and played very softly. So that happens quite a few times in this little 8 bars. We have a right at the very beginning. That is a lovely phrase. So it starts off with 2 absolutely tiny open Gs, then an upper G, and then 2 grace notes. So I think it's actually worth learning that as part of your melody, even if you go no further. Just learn that and it'll sound great. So there we've seen the crotchet broken up into that. In bar 6 we have another broken note. So the melody note is just a B, but we're preceding it not with a couple of little B's, not with that, but a tiny upper note, usually a minor third above. The next bar is really complicated. It's that, but it's done again with tiny breathy notes and pretty much in just 1 or 2 bows. And the timing is so subtle that it's almost no point in trying to write it down. Just get the general drift of the notes and try and let them breathe out. We've got a nice little phrase at the end of the line. That A flat note, that is coming on a G7 chord. So that is effectively a flat ninth, and Grappelli often does this. He will also do it in that kind of phrase, where he's going down in semitones and using parallel fifths and then pausing on the flat ninth. That will work really nicely at the very end of a G tune. So all of these are ideas which, once you can isolate the idea, you can use these as your own improvisation. I think the idea of learning 32 bars of a Grappelli ballad, the way he plays it, is, well, it might work for some people, it certainly doesn't work for me. Much better to isolate a few little ideas and really get to understand them. So let me play you through 32 bars, but I will just play the first bit as we've played it, and then I'll kind of follow the idea forward. And one thing to watch for is that although this is a very slow tune, I am going to pack it with notes, and this is a very typical approach to ballad playing. Playing slow doesn't mean that you have to have just a few very long notes. you can pack loads and loads of notes, providing they're tiny and subtle. So once round, a very slow Sunny Side of the Street. That is a really beautiful way of playing. But it's not the only way to play a tune like that. You can play equally slowly, but with a lot more attack. And someone like Stuff Smith would approach it with much more punch, with much more articulation, a lot less smoothly. Let's just have a go at that, just for contrast. What is really nice is if you can mix those two different approaches together. So it means that within the 32 bars you can kind of tell a story, and actually that's a horrible cliche, but yes, you can tell a story going from the one very gentle style, very elegant and smooth, through this much more attacking approach, and then maybe back to the gentle, and that will kind of lead the audience forward and lead them somewhere, rather than them knowing from the very first bar what they're going to hear pretty well all the way through it. And I do tend to use Grappelli and Stuff Smith as my two poles, my two polar opposites when I approach a tune. And I think it's all too easy to always go for Grappelli. And I do think it's nice to have a bit of Stuff Smith in there most of the time. I've given you, for sheet music, the straightforward version with no improvisation, just the melody, which you might find useful. I decided it wasn't, I didn't really need to do that on this particular lesson. If you would like a copy of the sheet music I've used for this, then do subscribe to the channel and send me an email. And as always, if you would like to get hold of a zip file with all of my PDFs, then do please join me on Patreon. And for just £4, then that's what you will get, all the 350 PDFs, as well as helping to support my work and keep these videos coming. Thank you for watching. I'll play you out with a more up-tempo version of the tune.